Alright, I was not planning on making this video at all because I think this whole situation is absolutely ridiculous, and I just felt like I need to make this video because everyone's making a big issue out of this and making false accusations. So, many of you should know by now. If you don't, I'll tell you. Last night there was UFC pay-per-view 146. Brock Lesnar was there because he's a former UFC fighter, so why not? And right when Lesnar was there, breaking news, Brock Lesnar at UFC event. Breaking news. Who cares? There's been plenty of guys who have been to UFC events. Stone Cold, The Rock, Goldberg, The Undertaker. There's been plenty of guys who go to UFC events. So I don't know why it's such a breaking deal for, or breaking news I should say. So I'm not worried about it. And then news breaks out that Dana White, who was the UFC owner, if you don't know, and Brock Lesnar had a meeting or something, and they discussed mainly about the UFC pay-per-view. And supposedly, after the show, the UFC press conference, Dana White said that Brock Lesnar said he thinks he's coming back to UFC, and all of a sudden everyone's going crazy. And I'm just like, I'm laughing. I'm literally laughing at all the things people are saying. OMG, Lesnar's going back to UFC. What? WTF, he's going back to UFC. What? Everyone's flipping out about this, and I'm like, really? This is not that big of a deal. First of all, Lesnar can't go back to UFC. He physically cannot go back. That's one reason why he retired, because he can't physically fight anymore. So, my whole deal is, I think this is a work. And now, not now, what the fuck. And now, what am I saying now for? I'm an idiot. I think it's a work because I don't see Lesnar go back to UFC. I think they did this just to get the internet buzzing about Lesnar going back to UFC, like, oh my god, Lesnar's going back to UFC, but he's still in WWE, what's going on, blah blah blah. I think this is a publicity stunt, and it could be an angle out of this, because by saying Lesnar's going back to UFC, you're going to get a ton of buzz about Brock Lesnar, UFC, and WWE. Three things that are going to be buzzing over the internet. Not to mention, a few months ago, Dana White went to the headquarters in Connecticut and had a meeting with Vince McMahon about God knows what. And I think that their meeting was in the future that WWE and UFC might be working together. And that leads me to the angle. I think that, like I said, they said that just to get the internet buzzing, so when Lesnar comes back, it's like, oh, he isn't going back to UFC, he's staying in WWE. I think they're going to utilize this into an angle where they have Paul Heyman come out, probably after No Way Out, I'd say, or maybe a little bit after. Paul Heyman come out and say that Brock Lesnar is about to go back to UFC. Lesnar's on the verge of going back to UFC. Have Triple H come out and say, Paul, give your boy Brock Lesnar a month to discuss, possibly come back. And if Brock Lesnar comes back, I'll guarantee a match against me. And if he beats me, I'll approve the contract that him and Larry Nine has discussed. So they'll give him a month. So it's after Money in the Bank. Lesnar comes back. They have a match at SummerSlam. Yeah, that's how you do it. So that's how I think they could play the angle as, just have, Heyman come out, threaten that Lesnar's going to UFC. Triple H persuades Heyman, not Payman, to convince Lesnar to, think about it for a while. And Lesnar decides to come back to WWE. And there you go. And I just don't see Lesnar going back to UFC. I mean, first of all, why would he say he's going to UFC when he's under contract for WWE? This guy has 1 year. We have Brock Lesnar until WrestleMania 29. So if he was going back to UFC, he's not going back the earliest, not until April of next year. If he did go back to UFC, I honestly wouldn't care, because Lesnar did his contract year. So whatever Lesnar does after he's done with WWE, I can care less what he does. So he goes to UFC, good for him. If he doesn't, that's good. So honestly, I'm not really making a big deal out of this. I think it's kind of ridiculous. I think it's an angle, to be honest, because WWE does a lot of things with the internet buzzing, like the whole Brock Lesnar thing after Extreme Rules, how he supposedly blew up in the locker room. From what I heard, that was WWE's way of getting the internet buzzing, so when Lesnar quit, they're like, oh my god, Lesnar's actually leaving. They get people to believe he's actually gone. So I think this could be a work. If it's not a work, if Lesnar ends up really going back to UFC next year, then whatever, but I think it's an angle. Just my thoughts. What do you guys, share your opinions on this, and thank you guys for watching, and I am out. Peace.